What's going on, everyone? This is the greatest travel podcast in the universe. I am your host, Fraser LeVay, and we talk travel, sports, nonsense. But today, we are going to Rome. Rome is a top 3 city to visit in the entire world. It is pure magic. You can't just call the city romantic or beautiful or perfect because it's so much more than that. It needs its own word. A word that encompasses the movie Titanic, Catherine Zeta-Jones, the most expensive bottle of champagne you ever had, Cupids, feeding you said champagne while you fed a gladiator for true love. Maybe you're hand-feeding 42 puppies cookies at the same time. Or watching Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 5. All while under God's name, under the watchful eye of the Pope, with his blessings. This is Rome. It is incredible. I get hair stands up on my neck when I think about my trip to Rome. Warmth, excitement, happiness. A grin from ear to ear is all you're left with when you go to Rome. It's just awe-inspiring. It's just a book. It's truly a book, and not just one book by itself. It's a history book, a romance novel, a mystery book, and a choose your own adventure. All in one. Plus National Geographic. When I visited, I said out loud to myself multiple times, what a magical place. I just said that over and over. And as you walk around Rome, all you can think of is like, how? Just how? It seems like a painting. Like, no, how is there this much to see? The architecture, the statues, every step and detail of every block are unparalleled. You think every structure took millions of years to construct. It's just incredible. I'm going to get into the best things to do in Rome, but I just want you to know you absolutely have to go. And there's one thing you must do in Rome, the most important thing to do in Rome, which we'll get to. If Rome was on your list, put it on your list. Let's just get back here of an easy way to do this. So, Rome is cheap to fly into from North America compared to if you're going to say Greece or Rome or Greece or Croatia or Budapest. Make it your first or your last stop. It's cheap to fly there, stay a few days, then go on to your destination. And then fly back and do the same thing. Maybe you stop in Paris, maybe you stop in London, which are, again, easy flights from North America. Not only do you save money, because then it's cheap to fly once you're in Europe, you also avoid 24-hour flights, 36-hour flights, multiple stops. You just get direct flights to Rome from New York, from Los Angeles, from Miami, I'm sure Atlanta, Houston, Chicago. So, something to think about that you must do. Absolutely a great place to go. And now, what is this one thing? I've got tips, tricks, ideas, but before you turn off this podcast, wait for this one tip that you must do. It's so important because once I say it, anyone who's been there knows exactly what I mean. Everyone in Rome is on the schedule, rushing each museum, trying to see every single thing, and just not doing what you should do. You don't need me to tell you, a podcast or a blog or anyone, hey, you need to go see the Colosseum. Oh, you need to see the Pantheon. You need to go see those, of course, but you're not listening for me to tell you that, are you? So this sounds like a very dumbed down idea, but when you do it, it'll change your Roman experience. I don't know if that is how you say it, your Roman experience. Probably not. You're not experiencing Romans. I guess you are. So maybe that is correct. Um, I will go over the things you must see, of course. But here it is. The one thing you must do in Rome, and the answer is get lost. Sounds stupid. Throw away your rush itinerary. Go for long walks day and night. Of course, make a little checklist of the main things that every website, this website as well, tells you to visit. But don't make it about set times or places or whatever. Just walk around and visit the unparalleled beauty that is Rome. I already said awe-inspiring. It truly is a definition of awe-inspiring. You put awe-inspiring dictionary, picture, Rome. It's incredible. Of course, you do need things like the Vatican. You need certain times, the papal visit, that sort of stuff. You kind of have to be on a timeline for a few things, but the rest, just go. It's the perfect walking city, especially your first night or day. Get outside and just walk. Don't be like, oh, we have to see the Colosseum. No. Sure, you can find out where you are and start walking towards the Colosseum. Great. Or the Spanish Steps or the Trevi Fountain. But then just meander around. Go where it takes you. Stumble across things that you'll just see organically. I remember I wasn't even looking for the Pantheon. I was walking, and then I turned a corner, and there it was. I was like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. This is incredible. Every corner, if you've been to Rome, so you obviously, like we talked about, there's the 5, 6 main things everyone knows, the Vatican, etc. But there's about 1,000 things you've never heard of, where you'll just turn a corner and you're like, what the hell? Where did that come from? What is that? Why is that so beautiful? Like, it truly just is breathtaking. So don't rush around to go from one spot to the other. There's some places you'll never see if you don't get lost. Some gorgeous places. You'll, stop for a drink when you're thirsty. Have a glass of wine. Stumble into a random museum. Shop when you want to shop. Eat when you want to eat. There's hundreds of restaurants on the road. Just go around and do whatever you want on no schedule. That's probably how I should have started off. Don't be on a schedule. Get lost. Don't be on a schedule. Those are the two most important things. Aside from the 1 or 2 things you have to schedule, of course. But aside from that, take rights instead of lefts. Follow your heart, as you never know what might be around each corner. Even the streets are enthralling. The cobblestone streets, they're made up of volcanic rock that well up in the hills behind the city. The surface that you just walk around just adds depth to this gorgeous place with cafes on the street. And I just love the cobblestone streets. They're gorgeous. Cute history for you. They say there are as many cobbles as there are souls that St. Peter has saved. Some cobblestones also tell stories. There's the one that was an attempt to assassinate Pope John Paul II. And there's also some, like in the Jewish quarter, we'll find some dedicated to the lives of people arrested by German troops and deported to Auschwitz. There's just so much history, so much beauty. You really just want to soak in the magic that is Rome. I would spend at least 3 days minimum. Stay longer, but you need at least 3 days in Rome. And wear comfortable shoes. I think it's the only place and the only time in my life I've put a bunch of pillows under my feet and elevated my feet. My ankles and legs were so swollen. I didn't have any sort of device that measured my distance at the time. And oh my God, I think it was before the health app on an iPhone happened, like right before, or it wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. But I must have done marathons in a few days. It was crazy. It truly just is a magical place. You walk around and yeah, So aside from gain loss, let me give you some actual things to do that aren't just the Coliseum, some different stuff that you may not know, and just to get you excited that you're like, hey, I know those 4 things you've talked about, Fraser, but what are some other unique things to do? Some hidden gems, some cultural wonders, stuff that you must do. Um, I'm also going to tell you, Rome at night, better than Rome during the day. Not only is it less hot, everything's lit up. It's almost like Christmas, like at night when there's string lights everywhere and malls and outdoor spaces are more pretty. Same idea. Rome at night is glowing, lit up. There's less crowds. I went in the middle of the night to the Trevi Fountain and to the Spanish Steps. I was the only person at the Spanish Steps and one of a handful of people at the fountain. So at night, you not only get a unique, different look, but also better temperatures, less people. The Coliseum at night, you have to go. You have to see that at night. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Um, just a whole unique side. Absolutely lovely. So my list also, the Vatican. One other thing, the Vatican, Rome, the streets of Rome are significantly better than the Vatican. The Vatican is kind of like a hurry up and wait. The Sistine Chapel is cool, but it's just like it's one of those things you're like, oh, the Sistine Chapel, neat. There's a million rugs and sarcophaguses. I don't know if there's sarcophaguses or if I'm even saying that correctly. But there's just rugs and paintings in the Vatican. Of course, incredible history. If you're into all that and you have a guide, bore your eyes out and listen to that. Sounds miserable, respectfully. I like to go around and walk and just see the beauty that is Rome. Where the Vatican, it's like you're in a line. It's hot. Another tip I have, do not go in the summer. Oh my God, it's miserable. So hot and humid. And you have to wear sleeves and pants in the Vatican. So dripping sweat. It's a cattle call. Like you're just front to back with people in a line walking through the Vatican for hours, seeing rugs and stuff. That's like, all right, I saw it. I get it. There is unique, cool stuff, especially if you have a guide. If that's what you're into, awesome. It is historic, incredible. But after a couple hours of heat, seeing the same thing over and over, kind of over it. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Rome, Vatican, things to do, unique. Well, whatever. We'll get into the things to do. Must-see things, obvious spots, but with steps. I've mentioned the Spanish Steps, Trevi Fountain, of course. I mentioned go late at night or early in the morning. Let's say you're even jet lagged and your flight arrives at 5 a.m. Just go right there. Or at night, go right there. I mentioned I went after a bar closed. I had a few drinks, 2 a.m. Had both the Trevi Fountain and the steps myself. Clearly, you have to see the Colosseum, the Castle San Angelo. You may not have heard of. Gorgeous, cool, incredible picture. The Pantheon, of course, is stunning, but see them at night. And then the Colosseum is also one of the new wonders of the world. So make sure you check that off your bucket list. Visit Villa Borghese and the Borghese Museum. It's kind of similar to Central Park. If you're with a significant other, which is a great place to go with a significant other, there's a musician on every corner, someone playing the violin, someone playing the cello. And that's the thing about Rome in general. You walk around and there's a street performers playing this gorgeous music on a violin, on a cello, on some other string instrument, maybe a woodwind. I don't know. But it just adds to the ambiance of you strolling on these cobblestone roads, looking around. I could go on and on. I already have. So I'll try not to just, telling you to go to Rome over and over, but this is what the podcast is for. But the Villa Borghese is a park, absolutely stunning. There's a rowboat ride. There's a museum. So exercise. Everyone's walking, running, biking, exercising at the park. Great. Another thing to do: stroll Trastevere or Trastevere. I don't know. Did that sound all right? That sounded kind of like I knew what I was talking about there, or had an accent. Maybe not. Maybe it sounded terrible, but to me it sounded good. Trastevere sounds great. Can't tell me otherwise. When you think of Europe, you think of those narrow streets with like cute little balconies, laundry flowing overhead, as well as like ivy and flowers draped along the charming buildings. Well, Trastevere is that. It's so cool. You just feel like you're in a movie, a Rome movie, which I guess you're in Rome and movies in Rome, so that makes sense. But yeah, it's not an enormous area. Spend a few hours soaking it in, have a stroll, eat lunch there. It's an authentic, beautiful neighborhood. Have coffee there, of course. Another thing about Rome, I'm not a coffee drinker. It was hot as all hell outside. I had a cappuccino all the time. Their cappuccino, I don't know what's in there. It might be crack. It is outworldly how good their cappuccino is. I don't even understand. I was like, oh, I guess I like coffee now because normally it tastes like awful. This was remarkable. So yeah, stop for coffee all the time. Trastevere is also home to the incredible Basilica of Santa Maria, which also has a great gift shop. The Church of Santa Cecilia. Be sure to donate and light a candle at Santa Maria to fully integrate in the experience and get your wishes and blessings out there. Like all of Rome, Trastevere has some great piazzas to linger at. Piazzas being plazas, so just places to sit near the fountain or whatever's in the middle of it. Have your gelato, have your cappuccino, whatever, and people watch, relax, even grab a glass of wine, sit on there, and just hang on out, look at your map, see where you are, plan your next direction. Again, like I told you, don't have a set place to go next. Just be like, we're going to go that direction on the way to XYZ. And yeah. So some other piazzas, Piazza Santa Maria is mentioned, Piazza San Callisto, and Piazza Trilusa are some to check out on your walk. And as mentioned, incredible, authentic, like drinking and eating place. Lots of artsy craft beers in the area, lots of patios. Very just kind of trendy, fun, historic feeling place that you have to go visit. Of course, there's other museums if you're into museums. And yeah. Next thing to do, you must climb, walk, run Giannicolo Hill. Between Trastevere and the Vatican is Giannicolo Hill. I don't know why I sounded Indian when I said hill, but so what? Not only does the hill Giannicolo, is that getting annoying yet? Hill have incredible structures, embassies, and things to do in its own right. It'll also give you some of the best views of Rome. It is a pretty tough hike, especially in the summer. It's quite hot. Sorry, it's not an incredibly tough hike, but if it is hot or you've been walking all day, it definitely can be a little bit rougher than it is, but it's really not that hard if you haven't walked all day and been in the heat all day. With that said, there's cold beer and drink carts at the top. So that's always something. Grab that at the top, soak in the stunning views of Rome. And it's another perfect place to just sit, relax. And again, don't be in a rush. Stay a few extra days, stay 4 days. Don't be in a rush. Casually enjoy Rome. I tell one of my biggest tips, or the biggest mistakes that travelers make, is they try and fit too much into their vacation or into their trip. For instance, if you were going to, I don't know, Germany, and you wanted to see Rome and Germany, maybe this is a dumb example, Venice. You want to do Venice and you wanted to do 3 other places in Italy, and you only had a week or 2 weeks, don't do that. Spend 4 days in Rome, 5 days any other destination, try and say 4 to 7 days in each destination. Because if you go like 2 days in Rome, 2 days in Venice, 2 days in Malta, you're never relaxed. You're trying to cram everything. You're not really soaking in the culture. You're just trying to check things off your list, which at that point, that's not what traveling is about. It's about immersing yourself in a place, seeing things you weren't expecting to see, really just soaking in and loving this area versus, oh, check, I was here. Oh, check this off my list. Oh, check this off my list. There's so much more to see. Slow down, relax. The next thing on the list is one of the coolest things. I don't know if cool is the word. Creepy, unique. One of the more unique places I've ever seen. And again, you would never have known this unless you stumble upon it or had a really good podcast that you listened to, one of the greatest podcasts in the universe, probably, that told you this. The Capuchin Crypt. It's not on a lot of people's top Rome list. As you can probably figure out, crypt isn't a positive word. You have to go. I tell you to travel to see things that you've never seen before, and this is one of those things. Well, I mentioned not seeing the same museum over and over and over and the same rugs. I do love things that evoke an emotional response, and this absolutely does. This museum contains bones and remains of close to 4,000 bodies. Underneath the Santa Maria della Concezione dei Cappuccini, I butchered that, lies one of the top 3 feelings I had in Rome. It gave me chills. It actually took my breath away and was such a visceral, surreal experience. Literally no hyperbole. Like, it took my breath away. I had shortness of breath and my chest felt tight. I know I'm not selling it. Like, oh, I want to feel that. Probably don't. I truly did feel that way. Never seen anything like it. My jaw dropped. There's only been a few times in my life where my jaw literally dropped, like, and just stays open. It's not just a saying. That can happen when you see a few things, such as this in your life. Wow. It isn't very long. They don't allow you to take pictures. It's a bunch of skeletons and other stuff on top of each other. It's wild. It's worth 20 minutes of your time. And in my thought, the feeling I got, the experience that I got, was better than my 4 hours in the Vatican Museum and lineup process. The Capuchin Order believes the remains of former friars are a reminder of the swift passage of life on earth and our own mortality. So, you're not allowed pictures, but I'm sure you can Google it and maybe find out. If you're watching this on TV, my light keeps on going out because I live in Costa Rica and there's terrible circuits that screw up my life. Moving on. Go piazza hopping. No, not pizza hopping. Do that too. I don't know. I won't lie. I didn't know what to expect when I went to Rome. And then I had the most stunning feeling instantly when I arrived. As I got off the metro, I turned the corner and walked into Piazza del Popolo as someone was playing the violin, and I instantly fell in love. Again, it was out of a movie. It was just, you're welcome to Rome. This is absolutely stunning, incredible, all the words. Wow. The piazzas in Rome are incredible, not just for their beauty, but it's also a meeting place for locals, a place to sit on a restaurant patio, or somewhere to drink your cappuccino or wine and see the world go by. Here are a few you have to see, but per my number one advice, don't overplan to see them right out the gates. Just bump into them along your adventures. And heck, I ran into one of the best ones by accident. The first steps I had in Rome. Literally, I got off the metro and I ran into one of the best piazzas to see. So it's more exciting to do it that way. Then towards the end of your trip, if you realize, oh, you've missed some places, then of course seek them out. So Piazza del Popolo is just stunning. It's just stunning. And it's inside the walls of Rome with an Egyptian obelisk and a couple gorgeous twin churches of Santa Maria and Monte Santo. It's also a link to Villa Borghese Gardens, which, as mentioned, you have to see that. Uh, Interesting, again, about this place is it was the main place for public executions, which ended in 1826. History for you. Campo de Fiore is one of the more well-known piazzas in Rome, with bars, restaurants, a beautiful market that dates back to the Middle Ages. If you want to get some late-night drinks, this is also the spot. Piazza della Rotonda is well-known as home to the Pantheon, but also has these perfect water fountains that I love as much as anything in Rome. There's just water fountains everywhere that are beautifully decorated, and you just fill your water up. I don't know why I'm so easily amused by those, but great. Piazza Novana is maybe the most famous piazza, as it has a ton of history dating back to markets, public games, and it's probably the most beautiful piazza in Rome. Piazza della Madonna del Monte is small, but always packed with people, as is within sight of the Colosseum. There's also, again, great patios there. Grab a beer, cappuccino, wine, or gelato before you head to the Colosseum. Piazza di Spagna is an easy one, as it's just basically on the base of the Spanish Steps. Not basically, it is on the base of the Spanish Steps. There's also an incredible obelisk that's worth visiting just for itself. Yeah. Another one, Piazza di Santa Maria, already mentioned. And yeah, great thing to do is just go to the squares, go to the piazzas, hang out, people watch the world go by. Another thing to do, attend the papal audience at St. Peter's Square. What an experience. The setting is stunning in St. Peter's Square. The energy, the emotions, the spiritual, incredible as experience. Even if you aren't Catholic, I like to experience all sorts of religious ceremonies and things, whether it was India in the oldest city on earth, basically. What's the one in India where I was visiting? I forget. But India, Cambodia, everywhere. So even if you're not Catholic, go check it out. It's such a once in a lifetime experience. Even if you don't believe in Catholicism, of course, with all the negativity that's surrounded it lately, it's still something you shouldn't pass up. And I would say the same about doing something Muslim or Buddhist, whatever else. Check it out. And I think if you're in Rome, you're probably there because of those certain things anyways. You can experience the papal audience on Wednesdays when the Pope's in town. And you just obviously Google it for more info on that. The Roman Forum. Before I went to Rome, I had no idea the Roman Forum existed. And I think it could easily be the coolest thing, the most amazing thing in all of Rome. I don't want to say the Colosseum isn't unreal, but the Colosseum is just one structure. The Forum is a giant area with, I don't know, 20, 30 different structures. It's unreal. It's like multiple football fields long. Even more than that. That's not even giving it enough credit. It's way more than multiple football fields. It's I don't know. It's incredible. Again, I had no idea that this place existed. Then you go to it and you're like, oh my god, this would be cool if it was just this in all of Rome. Like that would be enough to go visit Rome. Most cities have something that is just like the Roman Forum. And I don't mean just like the Roman Forum. I mean like there's something as unique and pretty to see as a Roman Forum, and that's all it has. This is just a random thing in Rome. I guess it's not random, but you know what I mean. It also has the Palestine Hill, which gives you beautiful views of the city and all the structures. And honestly, the Roman Forum, kind of like I said, is probably my favorite site in all of Rome, just to the amount of things to see and pretty structures. And I think I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. I'm just going through a few notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. The best area to stay in Rome. Rome is very safe, walkable. You can stay pretty much anywhere near the major sites and be happy. I mean, just look at the hotel reviews, the Airbnb reviews, and they'll tell you if it's walkable to XYZ. Most people get overwhelmed on where to stay, as there are so many options. But after spending time there, you really can stay anywhere. I mean, just be close-ish to the main stuff, and you'll be. It's just so beautiful. All of Rome is so stunning. It doesn't matter where you stay. Anywhere near Piazza Navona, Pantheon area, or the Trevi Fountain Spanish Steps are great, and there's a ton of options around there. Obviously, the most expensive as you get closer to the nicer things, but yeah, staying near the metro line is helpful, so you can go up and down the metro line. With that said, you could stay near Capitoline Hill and the Roman Forum or the Colosseum area. So, and that's also right next to the metro. My best advice would just be find the best value of a hotel with good reviews, which is somewhere central, and book it and stop stressing. Trastevere is very nice as well, or you could stay near the Vatican. However, I'd say ideally more central, like the Pantheon or Spanish Steps area, because it is quite central. Should you get the Roma Pass? It's a common question for visitors. I'm torn whether to get it or not. And when that's the case, I say don't get it. It gives you 2 free museums if you buy the 72-hour pass. One of those, you can have a lineskeeping pass for the Colosseum. However, you still have to pay and reserve for a spot to see it. So it's still an extra step regardless. And 2 of the museums I wanted to see, like Villa Borghese and the Capuchin Crypt, didn't accept the Roma Pass. So it's good for transportation, but you can buy that separate simply enough. And as I mentioned, you should be walking around a ton anyways, so it's not really end of the world. You also still have to pay for the metro line that takes you from the airport to Termini Station, which is 15 to 20 euros. So it doesn't save you money there. You still have to pay for that travel on top of it. Transportation in Rome. Also, if I'm boring you, before I get to transportation, Tom, I'll give you some good tips and tricks because transportation in Rome. You can go to inspiretravel.com and read all this stuff. If you missed it, you didn't want to rewind, you stopped listening, and you don't even hear this. So I'll get to transportation, some of the more boring stuff. Let's get more into the fun on my tips. Don't have a set itinerary. I already told you that. Try not to go to Rome in the summer. I mentioned that as well. Do the Vatican at night. Less people. Also, it'll be cooler. And 95% of Vatican's indoors, so the light won't affect anything. And even the outdoor stuff is all lit up and beautiful. Wear comfortable shoes. I really mentioned this. Don't use the Roma Pass, as I mentioned, unless you're going to use it efficiently. And it's not crazy expensive. So if you have money, don't worry. Just get it and don't worry, stress anymore about it. But if you're on a budget, it's not as necessary. Bring a large bottle of water everywhere to fill up the fountains. Should you bring your kids to Rome? I would say no. If you have to, okay, fine. But they're going to be bored out of their mind. If I was a kid, Rome would be stupid. They wouldn't be impressed with the beauty. They may take future trips for granted after seeing Rome and everything else. Like, cool. This is, I don't know what a terrible regular town is. It could ruin other places. But it's just so much walking, especially the heat. I don't know. They wouldn't grasp. I don't even think like a younger person, like a young adult under 25 would really grasp the magnitude or just love how stunning it is compared to other places. I guess under 25 you might. That's a stupid thing to say. But yeah, I mean, kids, they'll be more interested in the fish at the pond than the Roman Forum. I think I overheard that. Yeah, I did overhear it. One of the parents. The kids are more interested in the fish in the pond than the Roman Forum. So you get my point. Next tip, download Google Maps offline. Not much of a secret, but it'll help a ton, especially if you don't have an international phone plan and you just need Wi-Fi. This will have the entire map on your phone downloaded, so you can use it offline and kind of shows where you're walking around, so you can find your location without having Wi-Fi. Very important because you're going to do a lot of walking, as I mentioned. The Vatican Museum and the Papal Audience are 2 separate tickets. You also probably want to do them on 2 separate days, so you have plenty of space between the two. Just know that they're 2 separate tickets. So you aren't like, oh, I'm going to the Vatican and I get to see the Papal Audience. No, don't ruin your trip by making that mistake. Another tip, visit the Vatican Museum well rested. It's a touch dry. You're stuck behind people. If you have family members or you yourself just gets hangry and annoyed with lines and hurry up and wait, if you add this to the end of your day and you've already just walked miles and miles or kilometers, depending where you're from, it may tarnish the experience a little bit more, especially your feet are going to feel like they're going to fall off. And back to being tired. If you're tired, stop, relax, stop rushing. You don't need to run around. Take naps. It's not going anywhere. Go hard, coffee, brunch, afternoon nap, especially if you have some jet lag. Don't rush. Oh, for the Papal Audience, best place to sit in a corner if you have a chance. Because the Pope comes out to greet everyone, drives around, waves, and sometimes walking, so you may get a chance to shake hands. Sometimes even take selfies. So arrive 1 to 2 hours early because the lineups are long and you're waiting an hour just to get in. And then if you're in the corners near where the road is, where he goes around, you may get a little greeting. That's pretty much it on the tips, transportation in Rome. And then I'll wind it up getting to and from the airport. I don't know, do you even want to listen to this? Just go to my website. Because this was boring. I'm just going to read notes and boring notes. Nothing incredible. Yeah, go to Rome. I spent 40 minutes telling you how magnificent it is. Make sure it's a stop on your next trip to Europe if you've never been. This is the greatest travel podcast in the universe. I'm your host, Fraser LeVay, InspiredTravelElite.com. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.